Hello, everyone. It is the Prophet Michael David, aka Aries, and welcome to a very special video. It's very special because I am going to combine all of those things in the title, and I'm going to tell you how they associate with me. Okay, first we got to do a little intro stuff like happens sometimes, but so I'm making this video, or I started it at exactly 3:45 p.m. In the Eastern Standard Time Zone. But I'm going to post it to the best of my ability at 8:09 p.m. Eastern Standard Time Zone because um, that's 12 minutes before I looked it up on Google today. The sun goes down at 8:21. So basically, everybody has a chance to watch this video in the last 12 minutes of Pesach, Passover in 2025. It's like a bragging rights thing. So why is it a bragging rights thing? It's because this year is the first year since the day night of Armageddon that has the same exact structure. This year, Passover began on a Saturday, Sabbath, Shabbat, and ends on Easter Sunday. The last time that happened was in 2021, the day and night of Armageddon, where um, Passover started on Shabbat and again ended on Easter Sunday. They were different days, but it's the same form, and I will show you that right now. And one more thing. If you make it to the end of this video, blessings be upon you and your people. All right. So, what is 420 for those of you that don't know? Well, it's National Weed Smoking Day, which, I mean, these days it's World Weed Smoking Day. So, where did 420 come from? Well, the story I heard, and you guys can back this up, but it was some Western Coast college, I think Berkeley. They all had their classes that ended at 4, and so they would congregate at a place or tree, I think it was, and they would, by all the time they got there, it would take about 20 minutes. So, right at 420, they would all spark up and smoke their joints, and that's where 420 came from, is they all smoked weed at 420. So people started smoking weed at 420, and then the day became 420, and then the holiest day of smoking weed is smoking weed at 420 on 420. So that's where it came from. So segueing the first time, what does 420 have to do with the Zodiac? Well, all the equinoxes fall on either the 20th or the 21st. The spring equinox falls on March 20th or 21st. The summer equinox falls on June 20th or 21st. And while April 20th is not an equinox, it's also the zodiacs fall on those as well. Aries starts on the 20th or the 21st. It's based off the spring equinox, and all of them fall 29.5 days, 30 days later, because that's the lunar cycle. So that's what they have to do with each other. So I've made these claims before, but I'll do it again real quick. My legal given name is Michael David Harrison. I was born on May 11th, 1978. I am a Taurus, but I also claim to be reborn, born again on April 5th, 2021, and my name is Aries, and I am an Aries, hence the intro. So I have two zodiac signs, which you might think would be unique, but there are other people that have them. They're called cuss babies who are also born on the 20th or the 21st and can identify with both signs or one or the other. And April 20th, people born on that date can identify with either Aries or Taurus or both. I'm 100% of both. They're 50-50. can identify with one of the other or both. But the unique thing about the first two houses of the zodiac, Aries and Taurus, is they're really the only two that I know of that are associated with the goddess Inanna. Aries are known as Dumuzi, and Tauruses are known as bulls of heaven, or Inanna's bulls of heaven, also known as Ophiotauruses. And here, if you want to learn more, is what Dumuzi are derivatives of Dumuzid, and Ophiotauri, or bulls of heaven, are exactly that. All right, now, so segueing a second time, what does all of this have to do with Easter and Jesus and stuff? Well, actually, Jesus has nothing to do with Easter, but has everything to do with Passover. So, what is Easter? Well, Easter originally was, it's probably much older than this, was a pagan Babylonian festival that was dedicated to the goddess Ishtar, Ishtar, and also her once mortal boyfriend named Tammuz, who eventually became basically the god of spring. But the connection is the Babylonians and the Sumerians were kind of like the Romans and the Greeks. They had the same exact gods, they just named them different things. And so Ishtar, the Babylonian goddess in Sumerian, is named Inanna. And Tammuz, the Babylonian mortal who became a resurrected god in Sumerian, is Dumuzid. And that is the connection. Okay, so now how did Jesus ever become associated with Easter if it was originally a pagan festival, or even Passover? It's the same thing, because since the dawn of time, there's been an association with a festival for the spring equinox, which again falls on March 20th or 21st. They've celebrated it throughout all human history. And that's because, you know, they're celebrating not so much sowing another season, but surviving a winter. And that's why the whole rebirth concept, it's kind of like winter, you know, the depths of winter is the worst, but there is some like saplings that are coming up through the ground that will sprout during spring. You just can't see them yet because they're still underground. It's one of those things. Spring has always been, or the festival of spring has always been a festival of rebirth and everything. And that's why it always falls on around the spring equinox. The reason why Passover always falls around spring equinox is because Hashem, God, specifically told Moses that it had to fall, that Passover, Pesach, had to fall in spring, which is why they came up with the current system where, and this is here in a nutshell, is that every single year, Passover falls on the first full moon after the spring equinox. And that's exactly why April 5th is the mean and average of all of them. You can do the math and everything, but the first spring equinox comes, and the first new moon after that starts a 15-day period, 29 and a half days, 30 days for a full lunar cycle. So the full moon is going to be at 15 days. And that's why they celebrate the first day of Pesach at the 15th day after the first full moon of the after the spring equinox. So that's why they call Nisan 16. So they call, it's a Hebrew thing, but the Jews call Aries Nisan. So Pesach, Passover, always falls on the 15th of Nisan, which again, I'll describe it one more time, is the first full moon after the spring equinox. So, if Easter is actually a pagan thing, how did Jesus get wrangled into this, even with the Passover thing? It's because back in the day, you know, to fulfill his prophecy, Jesus rode a colt of a donkey, a white colt of a donkey, I think it might have been, into Jerusalem, which is one of the signs of Mashiach, basically proclaiming himself Mashiach. And then he was later betrayed by Judas, falsely tried, and crucified. And he was crucified on a Friday and died shortly before sunset, and then was resurrected on Sunday, the way most modern interpretations are. They also say he was in hell for 3 days. It wasn't 3 days. He wasn't in hell. He was in judgment, as I've described before, and he was in judgment for, you know, approximate calculation that I've done in another video. He was in judgment for 2 days, 30 minutes, and 14.4 seconds. And then he was cleansed of his sins and he went to heaven. She wants me to point out to anybody that's gotten this far in the video, again, there is no hell in the way that they try to scare you with. There is judgment. And what judgment is you get judged for the sins you commit as a mortal. Nobody can cleanse you of those sins, not even me. That's done by the angel of the Lord after you die. I've described this before, but again, as soon as you die, you go to judgment for the things you did as a mortal. And Jesus is like the gold standard of judgment because he was only in judgment for, again, approximately 2 days, 30 minutes, and 14.4 seconds. So now we finally segue into what I can only imagine is the most desired part of this video. What in the flying fuck does the Easter Bunny have to do with Jesus, Passover, or a, spring equinox festival to the goddess Ishtar? And while I'm doing this, as a good, Mashiach does, and this is the bonus part, like I said, bragging rights, I'm piously eating my flatbread in, the last waning hours of Passover, while I explain this to you. Oh, also that's why the thumbnail. The thumbnail. Yeah. Yeah. See? Tied it all together at the end. Oh, these are pretty good. Give me one more here. Again, so the question in your mind, we tied all this stuff together from religion, Zodiac, to heaven. But what in the flying fuck does a bunny rabbit with colored eggs, and the whole seeking the eggs and everything and hiding them, what the fuck does that have to do with Jesus, Passover, or even a pagan festival for the spring equinox? All right, here we go. oh, I guess my time's up. Hey, don't blame it on me. Blame it on the boss. My time is up, and I guess I gotta go. I'll tell you about the Easter Bunny thing later. So enjoy the video. And signing off, as always, rule number 1, do not touch other people without their consent. And rule number 2, try not to lie. And for anybody that's watched this video or this YouTube channel before, They're not rules. They're not commandments. They're commands. You are all a bunch of collection of Adam, Eves, and Cains right now. If you do not change, you will be destroyed. So, that being said, I love you all very much. You have a happy Passover and Easter and Sunday and everything else. I'll talk to you later.